Question is, an education company is running a web application used by college students around the world. The application runs in an Amazon Elastic Container Service Amazon ECS cluster in an auto-scaling group behind an application load balancer ALB. A system administrator detects a weekly spike in the number of failed login attempts, which overwhelm the application's authentication service. All the failed login attempts originate from about 500 different IP addresses that change each week. A solutions architect must prevent the failed login attempts from overwhelming the authentication service. Which solution meets these requirements with the most operational efficiency? Option A. Use AWS Firewall Manager to create a security group and security group policy to deny access from the IP addresses. Option B. Create an AWS WAF Wave ACL with a rate-based rule and set the rule action to block. Connect the Wave ACL to the ALB. Option C. Use AWS Firewall Manager to create a security group and security group policy to allow access only to a specific CIOR ranges. Option D. Create an AWS WAF Wave ACL with an IP set match rule and set the rule action to block. Connect the Wave ACL to the ALB. Correct answer is option B. Create an AWS WAF Wave ACL with a rate-based rule and set the rule action to block. Connect the Wave ACL to the ALB. Next question is, a large company with hundreds of AWS accounts has a newly established centralized internal process for purchasing a new or modifying existing reserved instances. This process requires all business units that want to purchase or modify reserved instances to submit requests to a dedicated team for procurement or execution. Previously, business units would directly purchase or modify reserved instances in their own respective AWS accounts autonomously. Which combination of steps should be taken to proactively enforce the new process in the most secure way possible? Choose two options. Options are option A. Ensure all AWS accounts are part of an AWS organization's structure operating in all features mode. Option B. Use AWS configuration to report on the attachment of an IAM policy that denies access to the EC2 purchase reserved instances offering and EC2 modify reserved instances actions. Option C. In each AWS account, create an IAM policy with a deny rule to the EC2 purchase reserved instances offering and EC2 modify reserved instances actions. Option D. Create an SCP that contains a deny rule to the EC2 purchase reserved instances offering and EC2 modify reserved instance actions. Attach the SCP to each organizational unit OU of the AWS organization's structure. Option E. Ensure that all AWS accounts are part of an AWS organization's structure operating in consolidated billing feature mode. Correct answer is option D. Create an SCP that contains a deny rule to the EC2 purchase reserved instance offering and EC2 modify reserved instance actions. Attach the SCP to each organizational unit OU of the AWS organization's structure. Next question is, a company standardized its method of deploying applications to AWS using AWS Code Pipeline and AWS Cloud Formation. The applications are TypeScript and Python. The company has recently acquired another business that deploys applications to AWS using Python scripts. Developers from the newly acquired company are hesitant to move their applications under CloudFormation because it would require then they learn a new domain-specific language and eliminate their access to language features such as looping. How can the acquired applications quickly be brought up to deployment standards while addressing the developers' concerns? Option A. Create CloudFormation templates and reuse parts of the Python scripts as instance user data. Use the AWS Cloud Development Kit (AWS CDK) to deploy the application using these templates. Incorporate the AWS CDK into code pipeline and deploy the application to AWS using these templates. Option B. Use a third-party resource provisioning engine inside AWS Code Build to standardize the deployment processes of the existing and acquired company. Orchestrate the code build job using code pipeline. Option C. Standardize on AWS OpsWorks. Integrate OpsWorks with code pipeline. Have the developers create safe recipes to deploy their applications on AWS. Option D. Define the AWS resources using TypeScript or Python. Use the AWS Cloud Development Kit (AWS CDK) to create CloudFormation templates from the developer's code and use the AWS CDK to create CloudFormation stacks. Incorporate the AWS CDK as a cloud build job in code pipeline. Correct answer is option D. Define the AWS resources using TypeScript or Python. Use the AWS Cloud Development Kit (AWS CDK) to create CloudFormation templates from the developer's code and use the AWS CDK to create CloudFormation stacks. Incorporate the AWS CDK as a code build job in code pipeline.